What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Everything College Basketball Podcast, episode 213. I'm, of course, your host, Josh Burton, and joining me on this fine, rainy Thursday afternoon, my teammate, Michael DeRosa. Coach Para could not make it today. He is over with our good friends over at Penn State, and Coach Rhodes cheering them on tonight as they take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Penn State definitely needs some good momentum going. They've been banged up. They're trying to get back on the right track. Coach is back home out in Pennsylvania over there cheering on Coach Rhodes for us as they take on the Buckeyes tonight. He will be back Sunday. But DeRosa, how are you doing on this rainy Thursday here in Indiana?
Connor beat me here. He beat me here. He was here in the first 30 seconds. Doing well. It's good to get back here, talk some hoops. We had some interesting games this week. Definitely not we didn't probably have the quantity of good games, but the quality of games we had was crazy. And then some really dumb moments in some other games. So happy to break it down.
Yeah. I mean, really interesting results we're going to talk about. That's for sure. And you talked about dumb moments. There's a couple I want to begin the show with today. As always, we are live on the YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook. And as always, we want to say that this show is brought to you in part by our network over at House of College Hoops and House of College Hoops and House Enterprises. I will get that right in a minute. We appreciate House Enterprise, House College Hoops for having us on the network. So make sure you go check out our network over there. You can find them just go to Twitter, search up House College Hoops. You'll find that over there. DeRosa, I want to start in the Horizon League. Because the other night, Oakland playing a game, who are they? Against Robert Morris. They lose essentially at the end of the game on a bad call, right? This was an egregious call. Greg Campy, obviously Oakland came to everybody's forefront last year with the upset win over Kentucky in the tournament. Jack Golke, that whole scenario, Trey Townsend. He's the longest active coach in the game right now. This is his 41st season, so he's been around the block for a long time. At Oakland, by the way, every season with Oakland. There's a bad call. He confronts the official, Cam Woods. I think so it is. Or I'm sorry, Cam Woods is the play. He confronts the official, is what I meant to say. And the official was wrong, turns out. But because of his confrontation and Horizon League rules, Campy is suspended for tonight's game against Green Bay in the Horizon League. Here's where things get weird. Not the confrontation with the official, none of that. But the Horizon League came out yesterday with an official statement that says, and quote, at the conclusion of Saturday's league contest with Robert Morris University, Oakland's men's basketball head coach Greg Campy engaged with an official in a manner that violated league operating regulation and is unacceptable. As a result, Coach Campy will be suspended for Thursday's game against Green Bay. Okay. Listen to this last part of the headline here of the statement. Related, a significant officiating error occurred near the end of the game. The responsible game official will no longer work Horizon League games. So you talk about holy contradiction, DeRosa. When 1 minute they condemn him being Greg Campy for violating the official code of conduct and regulations in the Horizon League. And then in the very next sentence, they say that, the game official screwed up and he's no longer going to do Horizon League games. So why is Campy suspended?
Ridiculous. And when you're watching a game, when there's a horrible call and then you see the coach get mad and then they call a time and then they call technical foul on the coach or whatever. Mm-hmm. This is the next level of that. I mean, truly ridiculous. It's if he's right, he's right. Unless he went really overboard, I don't know. That's just the first part of it. And then also the part of it that I don't think anyone's talking about, this sets up a greasy precedent. Because if you can just stop officials from officiating league games, you're going to see Big East fans talking about James Breeding should never be here. SEC fans, I guarantee you Josh has a couple names. There are names out there where it's oh my goodness, that sets up the greasy precedent there. But if he's right, he's right. If he's right, he's right.
Yeah, dude, have you ever seen a conference? We've seen conferences release official statements about this coach acted in a manner that violated our regulations, But have you ever seen in the same statement to say, yeah, he violated this, but also this official screwed up and he's no longer going to work our conference again?
Crazy. I got just such a weird situation. Yeah, that's really all I got to add.
It's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's getting out of control. Connor says, did he touch the official? Could be a reason for his suspension. No, I don't think he touched him. Not in the video I saw. He just, look, as a coach, somebody who's coached in high school and middle school, AAU, and really coaching at any competitive level, like, there's times and moments if an official you feel is not performing to the standards in which you think they should, you're going to kind of get after them. And yeah, maybe you drop an F-bomb or something, which I get would be a part of the violation of regulations, but come on. Like, you basically just tell them, like, hey, you screwed up. That shit sucked, right? And you kind of go about your day. I don't know. But the Horizon League did admit that official, upon further review, completely blew the calls, and he's no longer working the Horizon League game. So sucks for him, sucks for Oakland, and I guess you could say it cost them. But I thought that was a weird statement when it opened today's show with. The other thing
I got the video pulled up here. Let me share my screen. Give me a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is from shout out Sam Fetterman. He just clipped it, and so you see they're down. It was a foul on a 3. They hit Robert Moore, hits 2 free throws. Then you see they just throw the ball in bounds. Just watch Campy is right there, and then he just kind of runs up to the official. It doesn't look like he touches him. Looks like someone holds back a player, but he's just running to the official, just yelling at him. That's really the extent of it.
I guess because he clearly on the floor. I don't.
Yeah, and like dude, straight line to the guy, but I don't know.
You know my thoughts on these officials and how much power they hold. Look, Trevor says Josh's favorite person. I don't have anything against Greg Campy. It was a moment in time. You know what? And what we'll talk about today, a big topic kind of theme throughout the show that we'll talk about later. Without Greg Campy, we don't end up with Mark Pope. So in a way, I think Greg Campy in Oakland. The other thing I want to talk about, other craziness that we kind of alluded to, I know you saw it, the ending of VCU St. Louis there, the fans getting a brawl. Like, it's not even the players, it's not the coach. You have fans brawling in the stands, dude. What the hell happened? And kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I didn't see much. I just see like the one video of like the guy on the floor getting choked out. What is going on? There were so many weird moments in the sport this week, and this was definitely one of them. St. Louis played an excellent game too. They go 2 VCU and 1. That's a really good VCU team. Like St. Louis is finally finding their stride, getting Avila healthy, and yet the only thing we can talk about is the brawl in the stands. Yeah, God, what a best. Just a few too many beers.
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen any official statement. Yeah. Have you about like, is there going to be? I would have to imagine that the fans that engaged in that act are barred from that venue. I would imagine. Have you seen anything official released on it?
No, I haven't.
No, I mean, what are you doing? Like, okay. So the game's close. It's heated. It's a conference kind of rivalry or however you want to look at that. You can't fight in the stands. If you want to fight in the parking lot, I mean, I'm all for it, whatever. Go beat somebody's ass, I guess. But like in the stands, and God forbid, who's to say that maybe that was like some kid's family member? Like, I'm not saying it was, but imagine if that was like Robbie Avila's like cousin that decided to start punching a VCU person because they were talking shit about Robbie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing?
So it just kind of somewhat related, somewhat unrelated tangent. When I used to work like the Butler games in the section, like, I mean, you've been at the table at
Hinkle. Oh yeah. It's kind of up in the corner right there.
Yeah, in the corner. The section right in front, that's usually where the opposing team's family members sit. Mm-hmm. So it's just like sometimes you see people heckling. It's like, okay, there's a good chance this person's related to someone on the court. And it's like, hey, we can tone it down to like relatives. Like you can shit talk the players, whatever, but like we can tone it down on relatives. Actually, in the NIT game, this was probably my favorite story. Minnesota came to Hinkle, and Minnesota ended up winning on DJ Davis threw the ball to the wrong team. Elijah Hawkins stole it. 2 free throws. Minnesota won. But a Minnesota, I didn't know if it was a nephew, player's kid, could have been anything. But there was just this kid who was like 3 years old. He was just dancing the entire time. He was having the time of his life. So shout out to the kid. Very awesome. Different topic, but shout out to that kid.
Well, that's something else too. Like, kids and family and young people go to these games. Like, what are we doing? And it's funny you talked about Butler. The game that Peyton and I went to a couple years ago to cover was when Creighton came to town. And there was like a row next to us where I would assume regular fans come to, especially being down that low, probably been coming to Butler games for years and years. This one dude looked like he may have been intoxicated a little bit. Like he wasn't slurring his words, but you could kind of tell a little red in the face. Every time that Trey Alexander and Baylor Shireman would make a shot or make a play, he was on and on and on. Like, Alexander's a bum. Shireman lucky, blah, blah, blah. And that you made me think about, like, what if the family members travel to that game and sat down that way? You know what I'm saying? So it made me think about that.
I remember there was they played SEMO, Southeast Missouri. I don't know if this kid's still there, but Anquan Smart, he originally committed to Maryland, but like he was on SEMO at the time. And there were just a whole bunch of people with Anquan Smart shirts. And I'm like, well, that has to be his family. And then I'm looking at it's like, don't say anything. Please don't say anything, guys. It's SEMO also. It's SEMO. Like you're supposed to win by 100. But yeah.
That makes me think of family members. Let me see if I can pull it up from Mike Rutherford the other day real quick, and then we'll talk about some of these games. So, Louisville beat the brakes off of Wake Forest the other night, right?
Yeah. It only ended 12, but like it was like 30 at one point.
Dude, they beat the brakes off. I think they took the foot off the gas.
100%.
I'm seeing if I could find this because this was hilarious kind of troll job, to be completely honest. I'll see if I can find it. Right here. So you remember Tyler Johnson played for Louisville last year, right? And he's with Wake Forest now. And it looked like one of his family members, it had to have been, I don't know who it was, on the back of his shirt, it's a yellow shirt. On the back, it says checks over stripes. Nike had his tights. If you remember, Tyler Johnson almost refused to play last year, Kenny Payne said, because they didn't have his matching tights right. I don't know. I'll try to put that up on the screen right there. Talking about an incredible kind of troll job. And then I've seen some other comments. They're like, boy, I bet this felt like a real homecoming for Tyler. Come to the Yum Center, find himself down 30. Oh, man.
I got the let me hit the share button. Yeah, right here.
Oh, yep, right there. Yep. That is hilarious, man. I bet one day this upcoming summer, we could maybe get Coach or whoever to tell some incredible, like, funny, like, family stories, like some of the crazier stories. I think that would make for a fun show. Let's move on, though. We did have some interesting results, some big games this week. And I think the biggest of so far this week, DeRosa, Arizona 86, number 3, Iowa State 75 in overtime in a game that Iowa State controlled. I don't think they ever like really pulled away, but they controlled. Yeah. And Arizona just kind of kept themselves in the game. They finished with 13 offensive rebounds, kind of one of the keys that we talked about, especially Coach and I who picked Arizona. Shot the three decent, right? 10 of 29, 34%, so about average there. But we said that it's a game that they're going to have to make 8, 9, 10 threes to stay in. And they found themselves in a spot where Iowa State, they missed a free throw or however that played out. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Jefferson missed the first, made the second.
That's right. Went 1 of 2 from the line to pretty much able to close the show if he makes both of them. It leaves the door open. Caleb Love, who had not been good really up until that point, 60-foot heave. And if I remember right, Fran Fischilla was so tore up about the play design that he was like, they got to go long here and give themselves a design three here. And as soon as they threw it short, Fran was like, skirt it out. It's over. And then Caleb Love buries a 60-footer. And I think everybody kind of knew that once he hits that miracle shot and it goes overtime, the momentum flipped. It's in Arizona's favor in the McHale Center, and they pull away and dominate the overtime period. Caleb Love, who had not played good until that shot, takes over in overtime, finishes with 22 to lead all scorers, and Arizona gets a big win. And we talked about this. Arizona needed this. They're in second place now, all by themselves, only a half game behind Houston in the Big 12, despite the slow start, despite falling out top 25 pretty early. They have pulled themselves together in the last month, and now they look like a team that's not only making noise in the Big 12 their first year, but looks like a team that's solidly in the tournament and kind of maybe figuring some stuff out. This was an incredible win. No matter how it shook out, no matter if they were down that whole game, they found a way to win, and that is impressive.
Yeah. You mentioned the three-point shooting. It actually wasn't really good at all until Caleb Love hits that shot. Then you get to the overtime. It's like, all right, either Caleb Love is taking like 7 threes and they're just going to hit straight backboard, or he's going to take a shot and it's going in every single time, no matter what. He takes the first one. I mean, swish, like money 10. Like that thing was good the second it left his fingertips. And it's like, all right, he's hitting like 7 more. That's game. He really turned it on in overtime. Tobe Awaka was excellent in this game. Iowa State is a pretty physical front court. Like Joshua Jefferson, Deshaun Jackson, those guys can move people. You don't move Tobe Awaka. 17 points, 6-6 from the field, 5-6 from the line, 12 boards. He was excellent, just really dominant, kind of kept him in this game. And another thing that kept Arizona in this game was steals. They had 13 steals. In particular, Jaden Bradley had 7, a ridiculous 7 steals. But a lot of those steals were pick-6 steals. Steals to a quick bucket immediately. You get the steal, layup on the other end immediately. Just doing whatever you can, pressuring the guards. They believe on one back-to-back, they took it from Keyshawn Gilbert and then Josh Jefferson back-to-back, top of the key, same spot, 4 points immediately the other way. They just did enough of that. Plus Tobe Awaka on the glass. They just did enough to stay in the game. And off the bench, freshman Carter Bryant was excellent for them. That was one of the first games where it's like, you can see like why this kid was a 5-star, why he can be a pro. His jump shot was butter, just straight butter. This game was fun. I thought you mentioned Iowa State controlled this game. I agree. I thought Iowa State was the better team for 38 minutes, really 40 minutes, frankly. And then they just lost it in overtime. This doesn't change my opinion on Iowa State whatsoever. I still think that team is good enough to win a national title. But yeah, huge performance from Arizona. They just found a way in a game that they frankly should have lost.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they pulled a Houston, not as extreme, you know what I'm saying? Because Houston, what they did, down 6 on the road at Kansas on Saturday, a little different, but kind of similar in a way. And I think that was the point I was trying to get across when I picked them the other day, is just keep it close. Like, keep it hanging around, do the things you can control, which they were good on the offensive glass. I know they only had a +1 difference because Iowa State still got 12 offensive rebounds. But the fact that they were still able to kind of get that 13 mark really kept them in the game. And they made plays. You talk about 13 steals. I said Bradley could have a big game. I've meant more of the scoring offense. But 9 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 steals. He did have 6 turnovers, but he kind of did everything they needed him to do to facilitate a win here. And Tobe Awaka, to your point, 17 and 12 was amazing. It's crazy what he can do. I've seen him for years at Tennessee, covered him for a long time now. But like a 6'8" dude playing that physical against, especially in a Big 12 league that's physical, like undersized, to do what he's able to do is really impressive. And they got nothing. We talked about Anthony Del Orso. If Arizona was to win this game, Del Orso's been playing better. Dude, he gave them nothing in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing. And you mentioned Carter Bryant. They got 14 from KJ Lewis. Like, whatever Arizona has found right now is clearly working for them. Like, whatever it is that they found kind of with their depth and the ability to score when they need to, if that makes sense. And they've just kind of figured it out. Now you have to start taking Arizona seriously again.
Yeah, 100%.
They're second in the Big 12.
Yeah, their schedule gets tough as we progress. It gets much tougher, but yeah, I mean, you got to take them seriously. They still got some dudes, man. They got dudes.
I thought they did a good job on Curtis Jones. We've talked a lot about him, about his ability to go turn himself into a bucket now. Like, really good outside shooter, had been on a scoring streak. Really, Iowa State's probably best player over the last couple of weeks. And 41 minutes, 8 points, 5 rebounds. Like, 4 fouls. Like they attacked him. And I think neutralized, took him out of the game. Now, I think if he plays a good game, or at least a normal game that he's been playing, where he gets like 14, 15 points, Iowa State wins that game, no doubt. But the fact that they were able to neutralize him was, I think it was another big reason Arizona wins.
Yeah, they took the ball out of his hands, made Keyshawn Gilbert, Taman Lipsey handle a lot, and they really just ramped up the pressure on those guys. Again, going back to the turnover point, but there were a couple shots Jones missed that were like good looks. But on the Iowa State side, Keyshawn Gilbert might be my favorite player in the country. He's such a tough guard. He's such a good slasher. I love the underside slashing guards. Love it. And he's so tough. So tough. I still love his skill set. But yeah, you mentioned they shut down Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones is a really, really good player. 1 of 11 from the field. That version of Curtis Jones is not coming often. You got to definitely credit to their defense. He was also just off, but of both obviously has to happen for a great player like him to not have his best game. But yeah, I feel like we're going to get a Curtis Jones smackdown soon. Like he's just going to smack somebody, put up 30 and just like no sweat.
Look, if we're talking about Arizona's resume too, look, they're 14th in net now. They've taken a good jump here in the last couple weeks. They're up to 14th. They are 26th in wins above bubble, and they are 4-6 in quad one, no losses outside of quad one. So they're building a nice little resume that, look, you talked about their schedule. Arizona State in a rivalry game on Saturday. They go at BYU, which is never easy, despite how BYU's playing. Texas Tech's going to be rough. Kansas State, Houston, we kind of get it in the Big 12. But if they reel off a couple more of these big wins, let's say they get, they beat Arizona State on the road on Saturday. They get Texas Tech the Saturday after at home. That's a Q1. Let's say they lose to Houston, but they bounce back and beat Baylor on the road. Let's say they get Kansas at the end of the year. Dude, we're talking about Arizona with 8 losses maybe, but maybe like a 6 seed. I don't know. I don't know their ceiling right now, but I know that they're in a much better spot to be in that maybe top 5 seed range right now than they were 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, just looking at the bracket matrix, they're 6 right now. And we were talking in December, obviously very early. So there was still a lot we knew we could change, but we were talking like this Arizona team is in jeopardy of missing the tournament. And then they've turned it up, and they're night and day from the team we saw in November. Full credit to them.
17th in KenPom now. They are a top 30 in both offense and defense. Whatever they figured out, and it's not like they shoot the ball incredibly well. It's not like they've got an elite defense like Houston, but they're just kind of solid all around, and they give themselves a chance. And then if you give yourself a chance long enough in these games, Caleb Love eventually will make a play to win you a game. Eventually. He may suck for 39 minutes, but if the game's on the line and you need a big shot, there's a good chance he's going to make it. So impressive win from Arizona. We don't feel any different about Iowa State. They played a surging team on the road, had the game in hand, and just kind of lost it. But, man, it's crazy to think as good as they've been, they're 3rd in the Big 12 now. That's nuts to me. We also had another big upset on Tuesday night. Kentucky goes on the road. We previewed this game. I bet the house on Tennessee. No Lamont Butler, no Kirk Kriisa. We were unsure of Andrew Carr's status. He got cleared to play, played 1 minute, gave up a dunk on his head. You looked on that play, he still could not move laterally. He's still up and down. You can tell the back's hurting him. But, man, Jackson Robinson, like he did in the second half against Gonzaga, like he's done before, slides over to the point guard spot. Amari Williams brings the ball at play some point. I thought that was Amari Williams' best game of the year all around.
Absolutely.
And Kentucky shoots the hell out of 3, 12 of 24. Tennessee goes 11 of 45. There's some crazy number like that.
11:45.
11 of 45. But I think that was great game planning by Pope, and he even said as much. They asked him about it. He said that we want the people on the opposite team to shoot. Like, we want who we want for their team to shoot, basically. So it means going under screens and giving them a shot. And boy, did it ever work. Kentucky 78, Tennessee 73. And let me be honest, Kentucky dominated the first half, but gave up an 11-0 run right before halftime. Tennessee takes the lead in the half, 33-30. And I thought, oof. Man, here we go. Tennessee's kind of figured it out. Kentucky comes out hot again. Second half, gets the lead, never looks back. I thought this was an incredibly impressive performance after I admittedly on Sunday was very down.
Yeah, same here. You mentioned Amari Williams. I mean, he was excellent. 10 points only, but 15 boards, 4 assists, like Kentucky in assists without Lamont Butler. he just did everything the team needed him to. Like full credit to him. He was so much better than he's been in some games this season. Also, honestly, Almanor was going to commit to Siena. Siena. 4 threes. Kentucky found a diamond in the rough. They found multiple, but he's a diamond in the rough. Kentucky was just like, yeah, all right, we have a little bit of NIL. We have a roster spot open. Almanor, you want to come off the bench for us? Sure, come over. Go ahead.
He was like ranked like 326 in the portal.
Yeah, and he's like, I mean, his efficiency numbers are out of this world. He's 50% from the field, 43% from three, only averaging like 6 points a game. But like, he's having these games. Literally, let's go back his last 5 games. 11 versus Mississippi State, only 6 versus A&M, 10 versus Bama, 12 versus Vandy, 12 versus Tennessee. And yeah, 4 of 7 from 3, 4 of 5 from 3 in the Vandy game. He's a laser. Full credit to him. He's been excellent for this Kentucky team. They found a guy. And yeah, you also mentioned it. Tennessee, 11 of 45 from 3. They were just taking a ton of them. But in how many games is a team going to win the turnover battle 13-5? Going to win the offensive rebounding battle 18-8? Is going to outshoot a team 22 times and lose? That's what had to happen for Kentucky. Kentucky was hitting shots because they're an excellent shooting team. It's the great equalizer for a reason. Tennessee's not. Not many teams shoot well from 3 against Tennessee at all. Aside from this game, it was Vanderbilt was the stat I used. Then no one else had shot above 32%.
Well, we talked about it because you brought this up. By the way, I just sent you something. I want, if you can, to pull this up because it's going to go to a point I'm going to make on Ansley in a second. But we talked about this on Sunday about you reel off that stat about Tennessee does not allow 3-point shots. They do not allow you to make threes. And we talked about one thing that Kentucky does great is they have shooters all across the board. Their first 4 makes inside the first 2.5 minutes of the game on Tuesday night were threes. They led 12-4. 4 made 3-point shots. Kobe Bray had 1. Jackson Robinson had 2. Ansley Almanor had 1. And it kind of set the tone from there. The fact that, and I even text you guys, it's like, Kentucky's got 4 made threes already. They started 4 or 5 in the first half. They started 4 or 5 in the second half. And when this team, we have talked about this, when Coach is on here, when Trevor's on here, the 4 of us have talked about, when Kentucky is shooting the ball like that, there's not many defenses that can handle that because there's so many variety of players that can knock down a 3. And Pope spreads the offense so far and wide that you can't guard everybody. Like, you're looking at Ansley Almanor, and I'll see if you can get this picture. Let me know if you can get that up.
Got it.
So, not that we're calling him Carmelo Anthony, by no means. But I will say this. His favorite player, he's from New York, growing up, was Carmelo. If you picture him in that kind of Carmelo role, not being Carmelo, get that out of your head, but in that Carmelo role, he's a 6'7", kind of stretch forward wing, can play the 4 like he has been, and knocks down the threes. And his shot's almost kind of like Carmelo's in a way, if you look at it, the way he does it.
Yeah.
But he does not freaking miss from the 3-point line. Like, you're surprised when he misses. And even being undersized when he has to step in and play a 4, and he's against these much more physical bigs, he's at least trying to stick his nose in there and get rebounds. Ansley Almanor has been such a revelation that even when Andrew Carr is fully healthy, like, I think long-term, Andrew gives you the better chance to win, like, going into the tournament. But I think even when Carr comes back, you've got to keep Ansley in the starting lineup, or at the very least, keep him playing 25-plus minutes a game. He's playing too well, and he gives you too much versatility on that offensive end, which is what Kentucky wins with. They win on their offense.
He's shooting 53.6% from 3 in conference play.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're surprised when he misses.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Kentucky's defense, rightfully so, especially in the pick and roll. They rank towards the bottom of Division I teams and defending the pick and roll. I got to give them a lot of credit. And I know that there's kind of this narrative that, like, Phil 68 did a segment on After Dark the other night. They're like, well, Kentucky's kind of lucky. If you think about it, Duke missed these shots, and Gonzaga and Tennessee and blah, blah, blah. Look, again, Pope mentioned scouting report. They want the guys to shoot who they want to shoot for a reason, because they're not great shooters. And if they miss, part of that's game plan. Maybe some of it's luck. I'll admit that. But I hate this narrative that's trying to go around now, like, well, they've got so lucky. Guys, the Duke game, what'd they shoot? They only made like 8 threes in that game. If Kentucky makes their 14, 15 that they're capable of, they may blow Duke out. So, yes, lucky some, but at the same time, give credit where it's due.
Some of it, you create your own luck. Some of it also.
Perfect. I said the same thing the other night about Cale Bluff. You create your own luck. With what Arizona did, they played hard enough that maybe they deserve to get that 3 to go in.
And also, part of it might just be coaching because the last guy was kind of an idiot. This guy isn't.
We're going to talk about that last guy coming up soon. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm not naive. I've been around this game a long time. Is luck some of it? Like, if they played Duke tomorrow, would Cooper Flagg turn the ball over twice down the stretch? Probably not at this age. Would he miss 4 open threes? Probably not. But you still have to do stuff to like throw the other team off. And if Tennessee's dumb enough knowing they can't shoot to take 45 threes and Kentucky is game planned against that, who's lucky and who's smart? You know what I'm saying?
Ken Palm's number, which obviously like indifferent, but is luck metric, which basically is like how many wins you have compared to what your efficiency numbers would say you'd have. Kentucky's middle of the road in luck, just very middle of the road. Like
exactly. And it goes back to the point I was making. We give their defense a lot of shit, and rightfully so, but I thought their defense was really good the other night. Like, it was really good. And it's easier, I know, to play defense against teams who kind of shoot themselves out of a game. But if you watch, like, Colin Chandler, for whatever reason, from Kentucky fans, gets a lot of crap because I know Vanderbilt comes in for a minute and a half and he turns the ball over and he looks nervous. Colin Chandler, 15 minutes and defended his ass off against Chaz Lanier. Lanier ends up with 15, but some of those shots he hit on him, like Colin Chandler was right there, hand up, defended him well, and the experience, and Chaz Lanier is a tough shot maker. He's going to make shots. So I thought Colin Chandler defended well. How about Trent Noah? 9 minutes, 5 points, making every loose ball play. We talked about him at Vanderbilt. Looked like the only guy at times that wanted to get on the ground or poke his nose in to get a rebound. The freshman is playing well right now. I think he's earned more minutes. I think Saturday night against Arkansas, because he can shoot, he's going to play hard. I think you got to give him a few more minutes, especially if Lamont Butler and Andrew Carr are out again.
Butler was recruiting him hard, so I know a decent bit about Trent Noah, just from like watching him in like high school.
He was going to South Carolina. Yeah. Cal didn't even recruit him. An in-state kid that went to the state championship game against Travis Perry's team, ironically.
Yeah,
wanted to go to Kentucky his whole life growing up. Cal didn't even bother recruiting him. He was signed, sealed, and delivered going to South Carolina before Pope came in. He decommitted. Like, this is a good player. Like, this is a kid, and maybe you'll agree or disagree. Obviously not an NBA talent. Not now, especially. Maybe he grows into it.
Yeah.
But he's a kid that year over year, if he's giving you this now as a freshman in limited minutes, think about how good he could be as a college player by junior, senior year. This is the kind of kids in a program you want to go along with the really talented veterans and those 5-star kids you're bringing in. That's how you build like a really, really great college team.
Especially because, I mean, now in the portal, and we're going to talk about this definitely towards like offseason and stuff like that, but now in the portal, we're not going to have the 5th-year guys. And at least in the Big East, I can give you the stat, 5th-year guys made up nearly 40% of the transfers into the Big East. I'm assuming it's going to be very similar to the SEC, other leagues, because teams want to get older in college basketball. Now we're not going to have the 5th years. There's no 5th year next year. And frankly, in my opinion, I really hope the 5th year just isn't a thing. We just go stick with 4 years. Red shirts obviously happen and we can keep the rules that they were, but we don't need to give everybody a 5th year. Just my opinion, because I think it makes everything else, all the other issues more exacerbated. But we're not going to have that now, which means development is back to being emphasized again. You have to get guys in, develop them, and then bring in a piece here or a piece there in the portal. Not Kentucky did a great job in the portal. We can point to other teams that did a great job, like Utah State. We're going to talk about later. I love the way they hit the portal. West Virginia did an excellent job in the portal. There are other teams like Vanderbilt. Louisville. Absolutely. Yeah. But those teams are also kind of exceptions to the rule. Usually it takes a couple years to really get it going the way you want it to. And now with development, I think it's going to be emphasized again. And a guy like Trent Noah towards the end of your bench, senior year, he's hitting a couple key shots. Maybe it's not going to be the guy. There'll be some 5-star that's running point that's killing it or something like that for Kentucky. But like a guy like him in your program, being a program guy, yeah, it's still a thing and it still matters and it will start to matter again. And I think we're overlooking that as college basketball fans.
What the hope for, if you're Kentucky fans like I am, for Trent Noah is that by his senior year, he has kind of that Derek Willis, Dominic Hawkins effect.
That's the name I'm thinking of, yeah.
Derek Willis didn't play a whole lot at all, but then his junior year, he got a little run. His senior year, he was forced into action. He played with Bam Adebayo. He played with Malik Monk in that whole career, and he was a key cog in them. If I remember right, won the SEC tournament championship, made it all the way to the Elite Eight. So that's what you kind of hope for with guys like Trent Noah and Travis Perry and Colin Chandler. And that's how you build long-term success while bringing in stud transfers and these high-level 5-stars to succeed for later down the road. Two things before we move on from this. Kobe Bryant was awesome. Not only shooting, 3 of 3 from three-point line, which we've come accustomed to, even though he's been struggling. He shot 7 free throws. He got himself to the line. He had only prior shot like 5 in total in all of SEC play. Gets to the line 7 times, 18 points. He was putting it on the deck. He was hitting a mid-range pulley. That's, I think, the best version of Kobe Bryant, when he's not just kind of a one-dimensional shooter, which he's elite at, but getting himself to the rim and going to the foul line makes him even better. And on Tennessee's side, man, can't shoot 45 threes. They just can't shoot. They're not a good shooting team. They're all predicated on defense. This is the most points they've given up all year, which is still below 80, which is incredible when you think about it. But they need, thank God Zakai Ziegler's healthy. That looked nasty. And then they end up coming back in the second half and play. I honestly God thought he tore his ACL again. It did not look good. But they need, like, Igor Milicic was awesome, especially in the first half. But, man, they can't shoot that many threes.
Yeah.
I don't care if the other team's shrinking the floor like Kentucky did. You got to find ways. Felix Okpara ended up with 4 points. Like, you can't – you're not a good three-point shooting team. You can't shoot 45 again if you're Tennessee. You just can't. Great win for Kentucky, though. Needed it. Heading into an emotional Saturday game. They got it. Their resume is ridiculous, my man. They've got, that was a 6 top 15 and 4 top 10 win already this year. Just ridiculous resume without a starting point, without a point guard, period. Without your starting point guard, with essentially without your starting power forward. Incredible win. They just keep finding ways to do wins like that. A couple more. Let's stay in the SEC. Number 13 last night, Mississippi State hosted number 4 Alabama in a really competitive game. We saw the absolute best of Josh Hubbard in this one. You texted the group last night. I thought he was going to will them to a victory. Alabama shows their poise and their depth. They get 23 from Chris Youngblood, who has really started to turn it on now after injury, or coming back from injury. They win Alabama, that being 88-84 in a hostile environment down there at the hump. Your thoughts, because Hubbard was awesome, but unfortunately they didn't get really anything from anybody else.
Yeah, Hubbard was awesome. He was doing a ton. And Keyshawn Murphy off the bench was great in this game until the very last play. They run this, off of Alabama misses front end of a 1-and-1. They go down the floor. They run this pick and roll. Alabama blitzes Hubbard because the guy had 38 points. You got to get the ball out of his damn hands, right? He has 38 points. And Keyshawn Murphy, wide open bunny, blows it. That's ball game. Brutal. It was just such a brutal way to watch Mississippi State lose, a team that I picked and everyone else was against. And it's like, oh my God, I was on the right side. I'm right there. No, nothing. Full credit to Alabama. They were great. Chris Youngblood, you mentioned it. He was killer. I mean, the way he was catching the ball, knees bent, shot ready, getting it up like immediately. Just catch, boom, boom, ball, money 10. Money 10. He took a lot from the corner closest to the camera in the second half, and you just see the ball out of his hands. It's like, this is good. This is good the second it leaves his steps. You know it, and it just was. He was excellent. Mark Sears, solid. 9 assists, 7 turnovers, because Mississippi State, again, they defended with a ton of pressure. But 9 assists, he was good. But yeah, Josh Hubbard, just his speed, he was excellent in this game. He almost willed them to a win. That is the best version of Josh Hubbard we've seen all year. And we know how good Josh Hubbard is. The way he's able to play with pace, so fast, stops on a dime, gets you back again, or snatches back for those perfect little like midi pull-ups. He loves that little floater. He's awesome to watch.
Explosive bounce off his jump shot. 5'11", but when he's at his peak of his jump shot, it's probably the ball's probably 6'6", 6'7" in the air. Like, he's explosive leaper off the ground. And yeah,
there's no tell. Like, he's just up in the air immediately. There's like, usually you can contest. No, he's there immediately.
Yep. Like he doesn't have that LeBron where LeBron looks down at his foot before he does a pullback. You're right. Like no tell. And we've been waiting for that. Like he's been solid and we've talked about that. We've been waiting on it. This is his biggest outpouring of scoring. Outpouring of scoring. How about that? All year. And this is what we expected coming in from him. He's been in double figures every game but one this year. Vandy only had 9 at the beginning of the month, but this is who he is. And unfortunately, we talked about keys of this. Cam Matthews didn't really give him what I thought he would, or thought he would. 4 points. They got 3 from RJ Melendez, 2 from Riley Kugel. Like the game he goes off is the game he really needed help, and he got nothing outside of Kashawn Murphy. Yeah.
The way they defended Kugel in this game, Kugel was flustered all game long. He had 4 turnovers. Frankly, there was one where he very clearly traveled with the ball, and they bailed him out with this foul call. That just wasn't there. I mean, he took 3 steps, and then Alabama was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then the guy like goes over to like contest like a little hook in the lane, and they just called a foul like on the floor. So it wasn't a shooting foul, but like he traveled. They pressured him. He was off. They made him try to handle the ball when they'd get the ball out of Hubbard's hands towards the end, and it's like, all right, just make anyone else have to handle the ball. And Kugel was also responsible for that last turnover, which they're down 3. They try to run this DHO. They get Kugel to get in the ball at the floor. Then they wanted Hubbard coming weak side for the 3 ball and just turn over again because they were really pressuring Kugel. He was really flustered in this game. I have to credit Bama's defense there.
And Mississippi State's a really good offensive rebounding team, and Bama beats them 17-13 on the offense glass. Bama out-rebounds them 41-35, which is a really big deal. That's kind of how you have to beat Mississippi State is keep them off the glass, try to limit Hubbard. They didn't limit Hubbard, but they limited everybody else, and Alabama's just too deep. Like, they're too deep. Yeah. That's with Jaron Stevenson. Only 11 minutes, no points, basically non-existent, but they got 12 from Aiden Holloway. I'm almost to the point, and I know why you don't want to mess up any rhythm, but Stevenson's not really performing right now to the level I think maybe we thought he would as a sophomore jump. I'd almost like to see them sub him out and just add an extra guard in Holloway, or maybe you go Mu Diabate or LeBaron Philon, those 3. But again, maybe you don't want to mess with it if you're keep winning, so I understand that.
But even like Stevenson's starting, but like he only logged 11 minutes in this game. He's not playing.
He's not playing starter minutes.
Yeah, he played 30 against LSU, but other than that, 22, 19, 26. But yeah, they're running a lot of those 3 guard lineups, and those lineups are good.
Yeah. Let's talk about it rapid fire. A couple other key results from this early week of games here. Last night, Maryland continues the train, man. They hop back in our rankings this week. They're 24th. That's not a 24th best team in the country. That is closer to a top, what would you think, top 12, top 13 the way they're playing? Because they beat Wisconsin last night, who stayed in our rankings. They're 16th this week, so it was a top 25 showdown in the ECB top 25. They're at home. They beat them 76-68. And Maryland, man, just when they're rolling, we talk a lot about Derek Queen, but when Julian Reese plays like he did last night, like this is a really damn good basketball team. This is a team that if you told me that in March that they get to the second weekend and they're one of the last 16 teams remaining, I don't think I'd be shocked at all.
Yeah, they're a team I'm probably going to pick to go too far in the tournament. Derek Queen wasn't even good like in this game. He had probably his worst game, and he was missing a lot of good looks. It just wasn't his day. But Selton Miguel showed up 4-5 from 3, stud, played really well in his role too. Like John Blackwell didn't really do anything, and that was largely because Selton Miguel kind of shut him down. Max Klesmit didn't really do anything. John Tanji was excellent in this game for Wisconsin, and he's been excellent all season. That's not too surprising, but Miguel, great. Jacoby Gillespie is really, really good. He's probably the most underrated guard transfer in the country in my mind. 16 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals. He's a menace defensively. 3-9 from 3 and hit a lot of key plays. And Rodney Rice, the Virginia Tech transfer, he hit the game winner against Indiana. Comes back this game, 5-9, 3-6 from 3. Took a couple shots that were like, all right, no, you don't need to be shooting that, Rodney. But just really solid. Yeah, they said on the broadcast a couple of times, he's like the hardest working kid on the team. You can see it. I mean, super skilled. Just those 3. The fact that Maryland last year, their main problem was they couldn't shoot the ball a lick. They could not shoot the ball. You have Miguel, Gillespie, Rice, Those guys fix that problem. This team can shoot it. You have a star big man in Derek Queen. Julian Reese, one of the best defensive players in the country. You just have those guys, and Miguel can move people defensively. Gillespie's a defensive pest on the ball. Your point guard's not going to have a good time dealing with Jacoby Gillespie every game. That was an excellent evaluation. Yeah, I really like this Maryland team. It would not surprise me if they get to the Sweet 16 at all. I like them a lot.
Look, they're on a 4-game win streak, 2 of them being at Illinois and Indiana back-to-back. They beat a ranked Wisconsin team last night. And look, if we're being totally honest, like at Ohio State next Thursday will be difficult, but they've got Rutgers at home after that. At Nebraska, it's always tough to go win at. But if you're looking at their next 5s, all winnable, that puts them in a Wednesday, February 26th showdown at home against Michigan State. Then after that, they play Penn State, Michigan, Northwestern. They don't have the most difficult schedule. We're talking about a Maryland who could really go on a run heading into Big Ten tournament time at like 24 wins, 25 maybe even, if they continue this hot streak. That puts them up there in like what, the 2-seed category maybe. You look at the Big Ten standings with them right now. Michigan State's leading at 9-0. Maryland is 7-4. So they're probably not going to win the Big Ten. But depending on how everything shakes out, they could get up to maybe as high as the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. There's a lot of potential and a lot to like about Maryland. They just have to keep things rolling here. Before we move on and talk about this weekend's games, because we have a lot of rivalry games and people are excited about. Any other games that caught your eye this early week that you want to mention real quick?
Yeah, just a quick note on Pitt UNC. Pitt came up late. They won the game late. That was an impressive game. Jalan Lowe's an NBA player. If they make the tournament, it's because Jalan Lowe, he's an NBA guard for Pitt. He's really, really good and just made plays in this game. Made the effort plays too. That kind of surprised me. And UNC is kind of on a tumble. If these are 2 programs kind of going in opposite directions, Pitt needed this win and they found it. But Jalan Lowe's a name to watch. He's really, really good.
Yeah, it's a good win for Pitt, who needed it to stay in the ACC race for their tournament resume, whatever North Carolina gives them still. Name value goes a long way. I don't care what anybody says. It goes a long way. Carolina is not going to make the tournament. Unless a miracle happens, unless they pull a North Carolina State in the ACC tournament, they're not making the tournament. And Hubert's only going to survive that job because he got Caleb Wilson. I'm a firm believer in that. Getting Caleb Wilson saved his job for at least 1 more year. Because I don't know how you fire a guy who gets a prospect like that. We'll see. But it'll be interesting. Before we move on, as always, guys, we want to give some love to our sponsors over here at Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like other energy drinks. They have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams caffeine. Their product is made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. If you go visit www.dubby.gg and go place an order, use the promo code ECB10 at checkout. You'll get 10% off of your order. We appreciate Dubby. They appreciate you. And we thank you all. Dude, English is hard. Trying to say www.dubby. That's a lot of kind of the same syllables there. Trying to say it fast.
www.w.com.
Double. Dude, we have a lot of good rivalry games this week. Let's start in kind of not alphabetical, like not chronological. What would it be? Calendar order, I guess. Let's start on Friday night. Indiana goes up to Mackey for the first of 2 against their hated rival, number 10 Purdue. A rivalry for people. I know Indiana has been up and down, a couple good years, a lot of bad down years, but for people of an older generation, especially somebody who's lived in their state, knows how great this rivalry is. When both teams are on, this rivalry historically is a top 3 rivalry in college basketball. Well, however you want to order it, Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Louisville, Indiana, Purdue, those are the 3. And Indiana has had some recent success against Purdue here lately. Go back to TJD, his senior year, they swept them. That's with Zach Edey, Braden Smith, I think was a freshman that year. They had Jaden Ivey. But Purdue has just dominated the series here lately. We know how bad Indiana struggles offensively. We know how lack of coaching has really hurt them. We know how program issues with guys going out to casino the night before the game. And we know how steady Purdue has been. We're both, full disclosure, going to pick Purdue. But I want to lay out, before anything else, I want to lay out a path to victory for Indiana. But I want to hear your thoughts first on this game.
I just muted myself to try to send a tweet from the account. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. There, you have a team that can shoot versus a team that can't shoot, and you have Matt Painter versus Mike Woodson. That's really kind of that's all I've got. That's the entire case. And the best player on the floor is Braden Smith. Those three advantages for me, I can't pick against Purdue, so I'm not gonna.
I think that's fair. Ken Palm, surprisingly, would downplay Indiana a lot. Ken Palm only, and I say only, they only have just a 12-point game, which means I think Indiana can hang around somewhat. Shout out to our good friend and one of my best friends, Johnny Stroud, longtime supporter of this, huge diehard Indiana fan. And we talked about this the other day, and I laid out a path to victory for Indiana. If Indiana, first of all, they got to be in the game. They have. I've been to Mackey. I know I've said this before. For a big-time game a couple years ago, my first ever game, I got credentialed at. They played Marquette in the Big Ten Big East Challenge, whatever the Gavitt games, I think is what they're called.
Yeah,
and really great Marquette team. Really great Marquette team. And that Mackey environment's nuts. It's going to be hostile for Indiana. Hell, during the timeouts against Marquette, they were doing their chant of IU sucks to a song. So think about what it's going to be like on Friday night, tomorrow night. Indiana, first of all, has to avoid like those 10, 12-0 runs. They have to stay engaged and connected in this game. They have to make a couple threes. And by a couple, I probably mean 5 or 6. They don't shoot a bunch of them, but they have to make the ones that they do shoot. Their 3-point attempts to field goal attempts is 333rd in the nation. That shows how little 3-point attempts they take. The path to victory starts there. Take the threes that you get, make enough of them, and stay connected this whole game to put game pressure on Purdue, who will feel like, hey, we've got to win this game. We're at home. It's a rivalry game, all that. That's number one. Number two, this could be a big-time Oumar Ballo or I just forgot his name. Malik Renew. Thank you. Malik Renew or Oumar Ballo, preferably Oumar Ballo game because Purdue is very thin in the front court. Trey Kaufman-Renn has been awesome this year. He has been such a revelation for them, but he's prone to getting some foul trouble. If Indiana spreads the floor, pounds it into Oumar Ballo, uses his size, you can frustrate TKR. Get him in foul trouble. Now Purdue has to go small. Indiana, it has a significant size advantage on Purdue. I think you go to work. I think this could be, if he's ready and engaged to play, a big-time Oumar Ballo game. One of those games that we used to see at Arizona every once in a while. And I think Indiana defensively, you got 3 players, if we're being honest, from Purdue to defend. You're not going to defend Braden Smith more than likely, even though I think Miles Rice has a clear athletic advantage on Braden Smith.
Love Miles Rice.
I think you have to limit Fletcher Lawyer's 3-point attempts, run him off the 3-point line. And again, Trey Kaufman-Renn. You shut down 2 of those 3, you give yourself a really good chance. Because again, Braden Smith, as great as he is, he's what? He is turnover prone. How many games here lately we've talked about? Purdue wins, but he's got like 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
Indiana, I think, also has to push transition, but slow it down at the same time. What do I mean by that? Means don't look to run every time because Purdue is going to kill you doing that. But if you can get live ball turnovers, maybe off long rebounds and you can push then. Elsewise, slow this game down to a crawl. Run your half-court stuff, burn clock, and then hopefully, like I said, you make the threes you get. And the last thing, I think if they can get one dude, preferably Mackenzie Mbaka, who's going to have a size advantage on his matchup, who is super talented, to be engaged, they have a real chance. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not out of the realm of possibility in a rivalry game where anything can happen. I think there is a path to victory for Indiana. Slow the game down. Stop at least 2 of the 3 of the 3-headed monster from Purdue and pound the interior because you have a size advantage. They do that. I would not be shocked if Indiana steals one in a rivalry game. That's all I would say.
Your point of pounding the interior, I think, is a very good point. I think that's really how they're going to win this game because they have size advantage in so many spots. And Purdue's rim protection, because Dino Jacobson went out early in the year, it's TKR. TKR is an undersized big. On the other end, however, how does Oumar Ballo guard him? He doesn't.
That's right. That's maybe on defense you put Malik. If they're insistent on playing two bigs, which we know Woodson loves, you put Malik Renew on him and let Ballo, I guess, roam. I don't know who Ballo guards is the problem, but maybe you just trade, hey, as long as you score and rebound, maybe get in foul trouble, we'll trade off defensive. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
But I think Purdue wins. I do think they win, but I've convinced myself there's a path to victory for Indiana. And if you told me that they win because it's a rivalry game, I wouldn't be terribly shocked. Because at the end of the day, Indiana's been a huge disappointment. But we know they're talented. They're being undercoached. They've underperformed. But you look at that roster, Michael, that's a talented roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a really talented roster. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But if they give up one of those like 13-0 runs, it's over. That Mackey Arena will eat them alive if they give up a big run. That place will go insane. So we'll see if Indiana can keep it connected. I'll be watching tomorrow night. Just big rivalry, not only in state, but nationally. And we'll see. But I think there's a path to victory, but I think ultimately Purdue wins that game. Let's talk about Duke, Carolina. Is this the most what's the word I'm looking for? The most, not disappointing, the least excited for a Duke Carolina game in recent memory you've been? Because honestly, Carolina sucks. Duke's really good. My interest level is just not there for this one, but it's Duke Carolina, so I know why everybody cares. We're going to talk about why the hell game day is going there here in just a little bit, but to me, this is like the most least interest I've had in this rivalry game in quite some time.
There was the year 2023, I believe. The Carolina team was not great, but even those games still Purdue. So I'd have to go back. I feel like there were a couple of years, even the year Carolina made that run to make the Final Four and where they ended up ending Coach K's career. Even that Carolina team wasn't great. And then they just kind of stepped up for this game, and that kind of sparked them to go on a run. But yeah, this Carolina team is not a tournament team, and I'd have to go back to find the last time Carolina didn't make a tournament or Duke didn't make a tournament. It's been a while. But yeah, not super juiced for this game just because I feel like we know the results, but at the same time, you also get to watch Cooper Flagg again, and he's fun. I hate how much I like watching this Duke team play. So from that perspective, I'm okay with it.
Oh, I'm over here dropping stuff. And look, it's in Cameron Indoor, which Duke's favored on Ken Pom by 15. Again, when's the last time this rivalry game that one of the teams are favored by that many points? I think it shows, A, how disappointing Carolina's been, and then B, just how good Duke is, how talented they are. And if you look at individual matchups, Carolina could compete in the backcourt. We know that. RJ Davis, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson has been phenomenal this year. He has been really good. Seth Trimble, they could compete in the backcourt with Duke with Con Knipple, Tyrese Proctor, Sion James, the emergence of Caleb Foster this year when he finally started playing. Yeah. But they have no front court. You're expecting, I think Jalen Washington's out, right? He's out right now, I do believe, right? Or maybe he left the game against Pitt the other night or something. I'll have to double check. I think
they played 22 games this year. He missed one. He missed the last one, so yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know his status for this one. I'm assuming he's out. Dude, that's their only dude that's 6'10 or above. You're talking about Jalen Withers is going to have to guard Cooper Flagg or Kaman Malawak. How does Carolina compete? The only chance they have is force Duke turnovers, which Duke does not turn the ball over. They're 53rd in the nation. You're going to have to keep them off the glass. Duke's 38th in offensive rebound percentage, probably even better in conference play. I'll look that up in a second. They're going to get killed in the interior. North Carolina has to shoot the three ball well, and overall this year, they're 32.1%, 251st in the nation. So if they can't doesn't turn the ball over, and they can't shoot the three ball well on the road in a hostile environment in a big time game with game day there, how the hell is Carolina going to win this game? Now, I know I just laid out a plan for Indiana to win against Purdue, which seems unlikely, kind of like this one, but at least Indiana has front court pieces. They have good backcourt players. They've just underperformed. Carolina does not have a front court player. How does Carolina win this game?
Yeah, RJ Davis goes crazy.
That's it, right? That's it.
It's Davis and then Jackson. Jackson's also one of those guys who's capable of hitting like 3 threes in a row. But like you're gonna need those two to really go off. But yeah, I don't see how they match up at all with Cooper Flagg. I guess Cadeau, you also need him to just not turn the ball over. And then Duke has so much size at guard that I could see it really frustrating Cadeau. So maybe he's just faster and they're able to like kind of push and transition. And Duke, some years at least, really wants to slow the game down. I don't know if they want to this year as much. But broadly speaking, they've wanted to slow it down quite a bit under Shire, and they still want to slow it down this year, but not as much. But yeah.
Sorry, I got 13th to your point. I just want to add to it. Duke is 13th in tempo in the conference right now. And Carolina, of course, is number 1. So, yeah, Duke is slowing the game down in conference play.
They're going to want to get it up and down. But Carolina, the way Duke defends, you do not get anything inside the arc against them. For all we talk about Cooper Flagg's offense, of which it's warranted, he might be a better defensive player. He is a menace on that end. Shot blocking, covering like 3 guys in passing lanes, getting steals. He's a menace defensively. And good luck scoring on him, frankly. It wouldn't stun me if they put Flagg on RJ Davis. I wouldn't stun. Like, I don't think it happens, but like it wouldn't stun me to see it. And it's like, wow, he could take him out of this game. So yeah, I got Duke in this one too. You would need, I think Ian Jackson's the key. If UNC is going to keep this one close, Ian Jackson's going to have to start hooping.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really good this year. Like, we've been really impressed. But look, I mean, Carolina in conference play on like 28. Shit, I'm looking at defense. Carolina, 31.1%, 16th in the conference shooting the 3. Again, they're going to have to find ways to hit. Maybe they just say, screw it, and we'll go all small. Maybe you get something out of Cade Tyson finally. Maybe they go 5 guards, essentially, and say, you know what? We'll take Kama Malawach away from the rim. He's going to have to guard out here. We'll beat him off the bounce.
Yeah.
Carolina finds a way to get to the free throw line. I don't know. And I know, rivalry game, crazy things happen. But normally in these games, when one team is significantly better than the other at least has pieces that you can make up in your mind to like, yeah, I could see this happening. Carolina doesn't shoot well. They don't have a big at all, especially if Jalen Washington doesn't play. I think this is a rout on national television in Cameron Indoor. I think Duke wins I would not be shocked if Duke wins this game like 89-69. Would not be stunned at all.
We're going to get a crazy Cooper Flagg highlight in this game.
Oh, he's going to shit on somebody.
Yeah.
He's going to I could see a highlight where Carolina beats somebody off the bounce. He recovers, blocks it off the rim, gets the ball, goes in transition, and catches a lob.
Yeah.
Like on somebody.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Or you mentioned they put Cade Tyson in. If Cade Tyson has to guard Cooper Flagg, I don't know if you could make a bigger mismatch in the history of Carolina Duke. That would be a mismatch. That is a mismatch.
Like I could see Cade Tyson thinking he's open from the wing, shooting a 3.
Sends it in the 10th row.
Yeah. Well, sends it, but the ball bounces to half court. He's the first one there. 3 dribbles later, he's pounding the rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, no offense, Carolina fans, but look, I don't ever want to put a game at 0% because that's just stupid and naive. Like, everybody has a chance, but I think your chances are less than 10% in this game. If you had Armando Bacot or somebody, I would give you a much better chance. But you have no bigs against a team that's just so big and athletic, and your guards are going to have to go nuts in this game.
Yeah.
Like the guards are going to have to combine for like 85, and we'll see. Man, what a mismatch in a game like this. It's weird talking about. Let's talk about Cal's return. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central. John Calipari comes back to Rupp Arena to the state of Kentucky, to Lexington specifically, to play the Kentucky Wildcats, former team. A lot's been made about this in the offseason. I've done videos on it. We've talked about this, kind of hinting at the game, what it may be like. We thought at the beginning of the year this would be a very interesting game. We thought Arkansas would be much better than they are. They started the year in our top 25. Some people had them even preseason top 10, especially after they hammered Kansas in that preseason charity game. Arkansas, well documented, things have not went well. Boogie Flan's out for the year. They've had to slide DJ Wagner over. They're not deep. They don't shoot the ball well. They do defend pretty well. To their credit, they defend pretty well. But this team is just slow and stagnant and boring to watch at times. But it's going to be emotional. Cal Pope has talked about this. You got 3 former Kentucky players who have wore that jersey coming back, 3 more who were committed to Kentucky that are now in Arkansas jersey. So how will that affect them? How does Cal respond? He's fully admitted this week in interviews on his radio show that it'll be emotional. He's not sure how he'll respond. He's expecting boos, of course. And Kentucky, when their offense is clicking, Michael, would you say when their offense is firing like they were against Tennessee and against some of these other teams we've seen this year, it's damn near impossible to beat them when they're shooting like that. But if Lamont Butler's out, like we expect to be, how's the status of Andrew Carr? Again, there's a path to victory for Arkansas.
Yeah.
If Arkansas was to go in and pick up a huge victory, their best win to date in a highly emotional game, conference rivalry, how would Arkansas get the job done?
Have to hit outside shots. That's like you're going to need a good John L. Davis game. We've not seen good John L. Davis. Have we really seen him this year? He's probably thrown.
No, I think he's had like a couple 20-point games, but
like
nothing in a big spot. Yeah, nothing in a big spot.
Yeah, you're gonna need that John L. Davis game to like show up. That's the first thing. But I mean, even so, also actually, Cal's offense, you would know this. You can definitely test this better than me. But they run a lot of pick and rolls. Kentucky's pick and roll defense, not great. So probably have to be. But who's the handler in that situation? Is it Wagner?
DJ. It's DJ.
Probably Wagner. Yeah. Maybe he's able to create and just kind of get going, especially because Lamont Butler's not going to be able to guard him if he doesn't play. Obviously, he might play, might not. We don't know. I guess that's the path. You're going to have to create a ton off pick and roll, hopefully get a good game from a John L. Davis type. And actually, I think a Duthiero is a tough matchup for Kentucky, just thinking about it now. He's big, and Kentucky's bigs, like wings at least, not the most physical. Like Kobe Bray is not particularly physical. Ansley Almanor, kind of, but like not really. Jackson Robinson, not really physical. I mean, he came from BYU. Yeah. Andrew Carr, we don't know if he's going to play. Otega always might be the best matchup for him, but you're probably going to have Owe on Wagner.
Because DJ's strong. Like, to his credit, DJ, even last year's freshman, kind of got that strong shoulders, good build, and DJ's really good at getting the rim. And so I'll help you on this, in my opinion. Tell me if I'm wrong. If Arkansas wins this game, everything you said is correct. They've got to hit threes. They probably need a good John L. Davis game. Oduthiero is a matchup nightmare. I don't think Kentucky has anybody to guard him. But I also think, too, a guy that could really flip this script, ironically, is Big Z. Mm-hmm. Because in that pick and roll, if they run the pick and roll with DJ and Big Z, his ability to step out on a pop, nobody's blocking him at 7-2, especially not anybody from Kentucky. Kentucky's been slow on those pick and rolls when other bigs slip and pop. Amari Williams has to come out there. He's not going to get out there in time. Z could have one of those games where he had a game earlier in the year that really bailed him out, where he had like 7 threes. I think against Illinois, he hit a couple threes as well. And he's familiar with those rims. If Arkansas wins, I think it could be like a Big Z, like 20-point performance type of night, blocking shots at the rim. You know what I'm saying? I think he could be a big factor, him and Adu, because again, Adu puts his head down, gets to the rim. Kentucky doesn't have anybody. But Arkansas, for as good as they've been pretty much defensively, Missouri runs. The closest thing that Arkansas has seen this year in conference to what Kentucky's going to run is kind of Missouri. And Missouri runs a totally different offense, but Missouri wants to spread it. Well, Florida. They played Florida to an 8-point game at home. Florida and Missouri kind of spread it out, let shooters shoot. You know what I'm saying? And Missouri killed them. Missouri carved them up, and they don't run the beautiful offense Kentucky runs. Florida is really close to it, but Florida missed a bunch of shots, and it was at home. How the hell is Arkansas going to defend the zoom actions and the three-point shooting? Cal, will he mix zone in? Can you zone this team? I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea if you zone.
Don't zone a team that has Kobe Bray and Ansley Almanor.
And Jackson Robinson in conference play shooting like 50% from three.
He's good passer for size too. You put him in the high post and then just kind of rotate guys out.
Yep. So I don't know if you can zone him. Cal, obviously his teams love to run. Can you run with this team? Because Kentucky's tempo is insane. They want to run.
And his space works so well in transition too. Like
yes, yeah, there's not crowding the lane. I think we didn't even talk about Trevon Brazil. I think he could have a big impact, kind of versatile, step out a little bit. What kind of game does Jonas Adu give you? Like some physicality. There's a path to victory for Arkansas. And do not take for granted John Calipari, motivated, desperately wanting a game. He wanted to beat Bruce Pearl so bad when Kentucky kind of was an underdog struggling last year. They go to Auburn, beat that really good Auburn team on the road in an ugly game. Like, he's not afraid to muck it up and pull out a win. So don't discredit that. But don't discredit the fact Jackson Robinson said at the beginning of the year, there's 2 games he's got circled on his calendar. One being Texas A&M because he went there. He was kind of pissed at Buzz Williams. You saw it earlier in the year, just a couple of weeks ago, when Kentucky beat Texas A&M, Jax had a good game. Right, I'm trying to pull up the box score here. Jackson was MVP, 22 points, 5 of 13 from three-point line, 8 rebounds. Arkansas was the other one because he played at Arkansas. I know it was under Musselman, but he still sees Arkansas as like an enemy. I think we're going to get really good Jackson Robinson since he's been playing better. Final score prediction in this game. 2 things. Final score, and does Cal get booed heavily? Is it more than just kind of a boo, or is it 20-some thousand saying, boo, fuck you?
The latter, he's getting booed to shit. Easy answer. Yeah. I guess I could see someone like the older Kentucky crowd just being like, okay. But like for the most part, I think you're getting a lot of boos there, especially because he's at Arkansas. Score prediction, I don't know. I could see, I'm going to pick Arkansas to keep it close, to lose like 85-80, something like that. But I also could see it because Arkansas is a very young team, aside from John L. Davis, but like DJ Wagner, sophomore, Carter Knox, freshman, Duthiero's a junior, but like just some of these guys that are going to be playing key roles, largely DJ Wagner, young. And I could see them, like Carter Knox, I could see like the moment kind of getting to them where like if it starts going bad, it goes really bad really quick. I could see that happening where like Kentucky goes on this little like 6-0 run and you're like, okay, Kentucky looks good. Like they hit a couple shots. Okay, 7-0 run. And then quickly that turns into 21-0. And you're just like, yeah, like that could happen. But like, I think a guy like Thiero kind of keeps his game close. Cal gets booed to shit. Kentucky makes plays late, but it would not stun me if like it starts going a little bad and you're watching and it's like, okay, this is where Kentucky, like you just kind of feel it. Like Kentucky's about to turn up here and there's nothing Arkansas is going to do. You could feel it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he gets heavily booed. I do think there is a smatter of applause. I've been listening to a lot of Kentucky and Arkansas stuff talking about this, hearing the fans calling radio shows. I think he's getting booed for sure. Not for the reasons maybe everybody expects, but simply because he's an opposing coach going to Rupp Arena trying to beat the Cats, and they're going to boo him for that.
Real quick, did you see what Patino said? Sorry to...
Yeah, no, let's talk about that just real quick. Patino puts out a video earlier, a couple hours ago, basically imploring Kentucky fans, like giving his experience, how that was the worst day he ever had at Louisville, where the first time in 2001 he came back to Rupp as the coach of Louisville and they booed him out the building. It was vicious. He went home, basically wanted to cry because how much he loved it, all that. Talked to Ed Cooley just recently when they played Georgetown about how he went back to Providence and it hurt him too. And so he implored Kentucky fans to give a standing ovation for Cal. He even said, me and John aren't good friends or nothing, but I respect him. He Rick, I understand where you're coming from completely. One day, John Calipari will come back to Rupp and be applauded like crazy for his accomplishments. But he left on his own to go to a conference rival that they're trying to come back into Rupp Arena and beat the Wildcats. Saturday is not the time to be applauding him.
Rick made it worse. He's going to end up making it worse.
Yeah.
Like, Patino. Oh my gosh. He wants to be welcomed back to Kentucky in like 2 years as like a GM so bad.
And he will be. My bold prediction, I said, and I still say it, like Kentucky fans love Rick again, and that wound's kind of healed. Yeah. He will be in the next year or two back at Kentucky in some kind of administrative role.
I agree 100%. I feel like this is a conversation where we both have said it individually and then we talk to each other about it. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I said. No, that's what I said. It's like, yeah, we agree. Could not agree more.
He will be back. Look, if you haven't seen his tweet yesterday, he put out a tweet about the rivalry between Louisville, Kentucky is in great hands with a great coach and Pat Kelty and our captain, Mark Pope. Our captain.
And
not my captain, our captain.
When he went back for the Midnight Madness, right? And
Big
Pitino
Blue
was
Madness,
kind of there for a little bit. He wants the moment, and it's his guy, the guy that he really wanted to get the job. So fair. He wants to soak it in. But then he just kind of lingered around. He was there for another day and a half. It's
he
Rick.
He went to the football game.
And then he did an interview with a local Kentucky radio. He was like, man, I really wish I had this group of guys that Pope has. They're going to whoop my St. John's team. Oh my God. Yep. This team, oh my goodness. I'm terrified to have to play them. It's Rick, calm down. All right. You can get it. But calm down now.
He went to practice to talk to this current team, told them how much to enjoy Kentucky, what this means. He loves it, man. He said he donates to the football program. He'll be back in 2 years. He will retire from coaching and he will be back with the University of Kentucky. I promise you that. Yeah. On this game though, I think Kentucky over under 9 threes, because I think they're going to, with the way Arkansas can give up some 3-point opportunities at home, I don't think Kentucky's going to miss a lot. I could see them having one of those like Alabama did to Mississippi State on the road last night, 15 of 31. I could see Kentucky going 16 of 33 from 3 and just burying Arkansas.
Yeah, I could see it.
Let's move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Illinois hit 15 against Arkansas. I could see something similar.
Let's talk about some other games real quick before we wrap this up. I know we're going a little longer on a Thursday night here, but a lot to talk about, a lot of big time kind of rivalry games that needed our attention on this Thursday show. Let's stay in the SEC. Another big time top. We have Tennessee 9th. Yeah, the top 10 matchup. 6 Florida on the road at number 9 Tennessee. Tennessee coming off that loss we talked about to Kentucky midweek at home. Now they play back at home against Florida. Another similar offense, right? Kentucky came in, shot the hell out of the 3. Florida is going to try to do the same tempo. How about this? Tennessee is 4-4 in the conference. If they lose again, they will be below 500 in conference play and essentially take themselves out of the running because it looks like Auburn's never going to lose. We're talking about Tennessee. If the SEC tournament began now, they would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9th. They would have to play on Thursday. Another loss here, and let's say Mississippi State wins at the weekend or Texas, whoever. Theoretically, Tennessee would have to begin their SEC tournament play on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That shit's crazy now.
Yeah, crazy. And let's not forget the first game, too. Florida punked them. Beat them by 30.
30 pieced them, yeah.
Do anything. I mean, not Kentucky, excuse me. Tennessee couldn't do anything offensively. And Florida killed them on the offensive glass, too. Especially coming off 2 straight. I mean, lost 3 of your last 4. Your only win is the home game against Mississippi State in the last 4. I think Tennessee gets this one back. I do. Really, I just think they're going to do enough defensively. I don't even think they defended Florida badly in the last game. Holding Florida to 73 points, not many teams could do that. Mm-hmm. Not many. But they only put up 43 in one of the worst offensive performances we've ever seen. I don't think they're going to do that again. I just think they'll find a way to limit them defensively. I don't think they're going to get beat on the glass like they did in the first game. I mean, it definitely could happen. Florida's the 3rd best offensive rebounding team in the country. It could happen, but I don't think we see it again. And I just think Tennessee, I just think they'll find their stride. I just feel like this is a spot game more than I have any matchup angle here. I just think this spot kind of lines up for Tennessee.
Yeah, the common sense part of me says Tennessee bounces back at home, needing a win desperately in conference play. Being embarrassed by Florida a few weeks ago in conference, all that plays a factor. I tell you what they can't do to win. They can't shoot 45 threes. Yeah. They shoot 45 threes again. Florida beats them by 30 again, I think. Look, Florida is a bad matchup. It's that tempo we always talk about, offense, defense. What do you take? I always say take great offense. You can always make stops enough to win, but if you can't score the ball, you are screwed. Unless you plan on winning games 35-30, which Tennessee's capable of. Give me great offense all the time. I think this is just, look, Kentucky, Florida, Alabama, these high tempo, high scoring, high 3-point volume and 3-point making teams are bad for teams like Tennessee. I don't care that they're at home in this game. Florida has too many guards. They played at tempo, and to your point, they offensive rebound as well as anybody in the nation. Yep. think Florida is going to get too many second, third opportunities, hit too many threes, and the guard play is way too good. I think Florida wins again. I think they sweep them. And then Tennessee, Trevor and I have already voiced our concerns in the last week about Tennessee. I think we'll have some real concerns about the Volunteers moving forward after this week. Yeah. I think Florida sweeps them. A couple others I want to just touch on real quick. How about well, we don't have UConn ranked this week, but unranked UConn going on the road to play number 8 Marquette in a big-time Big East tilt. It's not lost a little bit of its luster, but we thought a few weeks ago when we were previewing this early that this would be the top 2 teams in the league doing battle to see who's coming out of this with the lead in the Big East, and it's just not the case. St. John's, Marquette tied at 9-1, Connecticut 7-3. The Liam McNeely injury really set Connecticut back, who we thought had figured it out after having an abysmal Maui tournament. But they, since his injury, they've really struggled, right? Losses to Xavier, lose to Villanova, not playing good basketball. They're going on the road to a hostile environment, really tough team to have to go up there and beat with the Big East presumable player of the year, one of the national player of the year contenders in Cam Jones. This seems like a tall task for Connecticut. If Liam McNeely, do you know his status? Do you know if he's going to play? Have you heard anything?
I think he's going to play. It's not 100% certain, but I think this is the game he makes his return. Just
so
based on the vibes.
If he plays, it changes a lot because their offense gets another scoring threat. Defensively, I thought he was getting better post Maui.
Ball IQ, crazy. He is a really high ball IQ.
Yeah, it obviously helps their team. If he plays, and even if he's not 100, but let's say he's 90%, Connecticut can absolutely go to Marquette and get a win because they're going to be tough as shit. They give another shot maker. But, man, this is a tough spot. Marquette's really good, and they know they're playing for the conference regular season title right now. What's your feelings? This is your conference. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, another note is Hassan Diarra was coming into the last game injured. He ended up playing 27 minutes in the DePaul game yesterday. So, he played a decent bit. But he clearly wasn't himself. 2 turnovers in that game. Wasn't 3 assists. He wasn't really affecting the game the way he normally does. If he's not ready for prime time, with the way Marquette's guards defend you, like with Ross and Mitchell, they're going to be up in your grill, and they force turnovers. And if Hassan Diarra isn't 100%, who's running the offense behind him? It's Aiden Mahaney. And what does Aiden Mahaney struggle with? Turnovers and guys who play him physical.
Yep.
That is a bad matchup. Marquette hasn't really been dominant in conference play, frankly. They laid a smackdown on Providence. But other than that, they've been winning a lot of these games close. Butler game, they were down at halftime. They lost to Xavier. They got down big at half. Against Georgetown, they got down big at half. The first Butler game, they were down at half. The other Xavier game, I believe they were down at half as well. They've been kind of pedestrian. So I could see this one staying close. But Marquette doesn't turn the ball over. I think they're going to get in UConn's grill, turn them over. They do. I think UConn really needs McNeely in this game. So you don't have him. It's either Ross or Stewart, and neither of which have that same killer instinct that McNeely does, that same shooting ability, that same ability to put the ball on the floor that McNeely does. And I think you need multiple ball handlers to go against Marquette. I just think it's one of the things you need. Also, I don't think UConn's really going to kill him inside because where Marquette doesn't have an elite big, one thing they do well is they can kind of stunt on the post and then recover really quickly. It's one thing they do well to defend good bigs, and I don't think UConn's bigs are great playmakers. Like Samson Johnson, not a great playmaker. Reed's better in that way. He's more skilled, but I don't know. I just see him causing trouble, and I think Marquette's going to find their looks inside. UConn doesn't give up a ton of three-point looks, but the ones they do are really quality looks. I think Marquette can hit those. I think they're going to find spots. I don't think it's a great matchup for Marquette, frankly, but I just think they find a way in this one. I think UConn can get them on the other side, but this spot, not a chance. Diarra not at 100%. More Mahaney, bad matchup. Bad.
I think that's a great point about the way Marquette, even though they'll lack size in this game on the interior, the way they kind of defend the interior post players, it's kind of been a hallmark dating back to VCU for Shaka's teams. The way their guards put so much pressure on the ball, even if you get an entry pass, they have somebody digging down to try to get the ball out of their hands. But putting that much pressure on the ball, if they don't turn it over, by the time the big gets the ball on the block to try to even make a move, shot clock's down to 8. So what's he going to do? He's going to have to make a move quick, or he's going to have to kick it out. So they limit the post touches, how effective they are. I think it's a great point. Marquette, what did you be shocked if I told you in conference play they're shooting below 32% from three? Because every time I watch them, it feels like Cam Jones is hitting a bunch. It feels like they got dudes who are Joplin's hitting a couple, but they're shooting 31.9% in conference play from three. Yeah. High tempo. They don't turn the ball over in league play. They're first in the conference, and that's only 11.7% of the time they're turning the ball over. At home, it's a tough building. Their defense ranks second, only behind St. John's, who's got elite defense. Mm-hmm. Connecticut, they are seventh in defense. That's their big Achilles heel, with or without McNeely. I think Connecticut will keep it close, to your point, but I think being at home, you have a show closer in Cam Jones. I think Marquette wins this game. Ken Baum favors them by 8. I think that's about right if you factor in free throws at the end. Excuse me. Acid reflux killing me, man. I think that's about right. I'll go 8. I'll agree with Ken Palm. I think about an 8-point spread in this game.
I believe we talked about it on the road podcast, and I said exactly 8 as well. So
yeah. A couple others, just rapid fire real quick before we get out of here. Kansas on the road at Baylor. They're Kansas coming off that loss to Houston. They bounced back to UCF midweek, but I think it was UCF, right? Or am I tripping? Was it not?
It was UCF in that weird game. Yeah.
Okay. They were down in that game, tied at half. They end up winning only by 4, gave up 87 to UCF.
Yeah. And that was the weird thing where, like, in the Providence game earlier, I saw the clip on Twitter. Providence they called a foul on the 3-point attempt when Isaiah Coleman, like, the ball wasn't even like fully in his, like, to get it in his shooting, you have to have it in your shooting pocket. Mm-hmm. The ball wasn't in a shooting pocket yet. And they called a shooting foul versus UCF. The guy is in his motion. Like, the ball's here and he gets fouled. Ball. And they're like, on the floor. It's like, what?
Yep. It's great. Like, we've been saying it for a while. Like, I don't know how you trust Kansas fully. I don't know. They put up 91 in this game, but it's like, I don't know. They go on the road to Baylor. Baylor's that's about 13-7, man. Honestly, God, if Baylor keeps at this pace, 10+ losses, because they've still, their next two, Kansas, Texas Tech. They've got Houston a couple games later, West Virginia, Arizona, Houston again at the very last game of the regular season. Like, I don't know if Baylor, they may mess around and not make the tournament too. Like VJ Edgecombe has not been to the guy who we thought he would be. Robert Wright has been good when he played. Jeremy Roach has been hurt. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about this? Baylor gets them at home, so I feel like that helps them out. Yeah. But they've not been super impressive. They don't defend well either. I don't know. This could be an ugly game.
Yeah, to Connor's point earlier, we don't know the status of DeJuan Harris. I think that makes a huge difference. If he's playing, I kind of think Kansas goes on the road and wins. I don't trust the Baylor team. I just, they haven't had a performance where I can really trust them yet. Like, Edgecombe's kind of stepping up lately, but nothing crazy. And they're not, a lot of the offense later in Scott Drew's kind of tenure has been, I go, you go. You ISO, I ISO. I don't like that. I just don't like that style. I just don't trust it. They're good on the offensive glass, but if Kansas is running the Badunga Dickinson lineup, I think they can limit a lot of what Baylor wants to do on the offensive glass. That I don't trust this Baylor team a lot. I think Kansas will find a way to get decent looks. You get a couple, hope one of Rylan Griffin or Zeke Mayo like really brings it. Then yeah, I kind of think Kansas can steal this one.
I'm with you. I think Kansas wins. I just don't know where Baylor, they can score 10th in the nation in an adjusted offense, but 78 defensively. I don't know if they keep Kansas in front of them when they need to. So I think Kansas gets the win. How about real quick? 2 other games I want to touch on just real quick. I mean, give me a score real quick on Texas Tech, Houston. Tech in our top 25 this week. They clock in at 18th because they've been playing well. Houston's been a juggernaut. Does Houston cover 10+? I think they will.
Texas Tech, analytical darling. This is going to be like a sleeper, like good game. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Give me, I think this game gets ugly. Give me like Houston 7, not even 70. Give me Houston 65, Texas Tech 57.
We'll finish out on the West Coast here. New Mexico at Utah State.
Josh. I'm excited for this game. This game's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Donovan Dent's one of the best players in the country. And the way Utah State runs this really weird matchup zone style defense, it's the way they like kind of light like token pressure too to take some time off the clock, then they get you into that zone, and their offense is pretty too. This is going to be a really fun game. Logan has been popping in some of these games. The environment there is like sleeper really good this year. Those fans are bringing it. I'm going to say Utah State gets this one. I think Utah State can get this one by like 7 points, but it wouldn't stun me if Donovan Dent just goes crazy. They played Deion Thomas the other day. He had 22 points. Donovan Dent could put up a 30 piece. That wouldn't stun me, but I really like this Utah State team. This game is going to be fun. Late night, Saturday night. I'll be tuned in for sure, probably for the whole thing. Give me the Aggies though.
Look, New Mexico was my pick when we did it at the beginning of the year for Mountain West champions. I'm going to ride with them. 7th in the country in tempo. They play fast. They're on a 3-game losing streak. The only loss they've had since December 7th has been that game that they dropped to San Jose State a few weeks ago by 1 point, or else they're unbeaten in the NWC. Donovan Dent, as you mentioned, has been phenomenal. I love Nelly Jr. Joseph. Mustafa Amzil. This team plays fun. They play fast. They play hard. I think they go on the road and get a big-time win, and I think they outpace Utah State. Utah State, really effective offense, struggle at times defensively, especially against teams who are athletic and can get up and down the floor. I think New Mexico pushes the pace, makes plays. New Mexico gets a big-time statement victory and puts themselves really firmly in the driver's seat to win the Mountain West. Last one out in the West Coast, rivalry game. Gonzaga plays St. Mary's. I do believe that is in
Moraga.
It's in Moraga. St. Mary's 9-game win streak. Some people voted them here this last couple of weeks to be top 25. I have not, simply because, look, they've beaten some good teams. They just beat Santa Clara last night. They beat Washington State, San Fran, but they've beaten a lot of teams in like the 250s in KenPom. So not like quality wins really, but this is a good team. We know St. Mary's, Randy Bennett loves to slow the tempo down. They play behind a good defense and an effective offense that takes time off the clock and makes the play afterwards. Gonzaga, we've talked ad nauseum about their struggles at times scoring the basketball, getting stops, going on scoring droughts. Is this not a nail in the coffin on Gonzaga? I'm not meaning that. But is this the statement that says, Gonzaga, you are not winning the West Coast Conference this year? You will have your second loss already, and you are not winning this league.
Yeah, I think so. I think the way St. Mary's can just kind of really slow the game down.
Third loss already.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they're going into Moraga and winning. The way St. Mary's can control the tempo, and like in some of these games, it's been like St. Mary's is holding team on a 13-minute scoring drought. St. Mary's holding them on a 10 minutes. It's like, oh my goodness. I think they're going to be able to do that. Not to that extent, obviously, Gonzaga's too talented, but like a 4-minute drought, 3-minute drought, like, yeah, I can see that. And I just think St. Mary's going to control tempo. I think this Gales team, they're looking, again, this is kind of around the time when they start cooking. And I think this is going to be the spot that shows like, okay, yeah, they're good again.
I'm with you, especially at home. We've seen it for years now. Like last year when they beat Gonzaga, who had started to figure it out, they beat them at home. And if you remember, they frustrated them. Like their defense shrunk the floor. They had, oh my God, I just forgot his name. That's at Connecticut now.
Mahaney.
Mahaney was making step-back jump shots late in the clock, and it really frustrated them. I think they do a lot of the same. That little Cracker Jack box gym is going to be right on top of Gonzaga, too. And a guy to watch out for is Augustus Marciulionis. Marciulionis has been really good this year. Like, he's not doing eye-popping numbers, but, like, if you look at his stats this year, they've been very solid. Like, he had an 11-assist game against Pacific earlier in the year. He had 7 a couple nights ago against Washington State to go along with 19 points. Like, I think he can control tempo. Nimhard is going to play too fast. Now, Graham Ike, I don't know how St. Mary's will defend him, but those guards have not made me feel like a lot of trust in them. And I'm with you. I think St. Mary's controls the tempo, wears them down, and frustrates them. Because if they get up like 9 midway through the second half, they're going to burn that clock, baby.
And
they're going to burn that clock.
Take a dumb shot. If that happens, he's going to take a dumb shot.
Oh, yeah. They'll feel panicked. And look, St. Mary's second in the country in offensive rebound percentage. The shots they are missing, they're hitting the glass very hard. So
Mhm.
I think St. Mary's wins at home. Gonzaga, third loss in the Mountain West, or not Mountain West, the WCC. It's been a while since we've said that here heading into February. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's start wrapping this up. We have went extra long tonight, but again, a lot to talk about, rivalry games. So you'll get that from us from time to time on Thursday. Let's finish up with bank on it. And I will do mine easy. I can't go anywhere else, DeRosa, besides Kentucky and Arkansas. My bank on it is Jackson Robinson. In his mind, this is a revenge game to show his former school. Who cares if Eric Musselman's not there? That really pissed him off. He sees Arkansas like he saw Texas A&M as an enemy. He's going to have to probably run primary point again, and I think he's going to relish the matchup against DJ Wagner or whoever they put on to guard him. Jackson Robinson goes for 25 plus, probably 5 or 6 threes in this contest, leads Kentucky to a 15-plus point victory. Bank on it.
Look at your brother's bank on it, too, on the screen here. Cal gets himself ejected. Kentucky kicks his ass.
I could absolutely see Cal getting ejected in this game.
I'm not gonna lie, St. Mary's was near bank on it. I think I'm really confident they win that game. But I'm gonna go with a different game. Just another thing I like to do. We're gonna go early on the Saturday slate on Fox at 1 p.m. I think Villanova's gonna beat Creighton. Just gut feeling. There's not really much more to it. I just think Eric Dixon always plays well against Creighton. The way Creighton runs drop, Dixon big, he can really shoot it. And I just think like Awuga Poplar, I think they have enough to like annoy a Jameer Breckus annoy Stephen Ashworth on the other end. Those guys are going to make plays, but especially Creighton coming off a really, really good performance against Xavier where they were like 8 of 10 from 3 in the second half. I think Villanova can get him in this spot. I think this is a weird Kyle Neptune game, and then Villanova will lose the next game by like 100. But I think they can get this one and give Villanova fans some more false hope that just gets punched away. But I'm picking Villanova.
I like that, man. I don't hate that. Let's finish up with shout-outs. I'll let you go first this time.
Yeah, I got a couple. Just 3 from me. One, Jamal Mashburn Jr. had 34 last night in a double overtime win over Charlotte. Not a name we've talked about a lot. He was on that really fun New Mexico team last year. He's settling in to his role this year. Shout out Jamal Mashburn. Ace Bailey. Wow. 37 points last night in a road win over Northwestern. Dylan Harper did not play in this game. He's been like on and off the court. Ace Bailey just decided I'm taking this game over. 13 of 20 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. He takes some tough shots. I believe I saw a stat that he doesn't have an assist in his last 3 games. He's just a shooter. Just a shot creator, but he turned up in this game. Rutgers kind of needed him to because they don't really have anyone who can do the offense. Tyson Acuff off the bench played well, but he just kind of cooked those unathletic white boys. Shout out to Ace Bailey. And then we had a game winner. Johnny Kinzinger hit a 3 for Illinois State to beat Belmont. A Belmont team we like. Like we've talked about this Belmont team, we like him. Johnny Kinzinger's a guard at Illinois State. Hit some tough shots. That's what he does. And he had a game winner in the spot. So those are my 3 shout outs.
I like it, man. I'll keep mine short and sweet. I don't have a whole lot this week or this Thursday. Shout out Arizona. I think I shouted them out last week again, but man, they followed up with another big win. That environment at the McHale Center was nuts. And Caleb Love, awful for most of the game, hits the big shot and dominates in overtime. This team's surging. We talked about it. They could be a factor now all of a sudden in March. So keep an eye on the Arizona Wildcats. And then, look, shout out Coach Rhodes. I know Coach Pear is over there with them. They've got a big game coming up. I think it's about to tip off here very soon. Coach Rhodes has been awesome to us this year. I will continue to support, full disclosure, Penn State because he has been so – hell, he sent us a hello earlier. Yeah. So – just for no other reason, just to tell us hello, hope we're doing well. So I'm rooting for them. Go Penn State. I hope you guys get a win tonight. And then this is kind of a roundabout, not a player, not a team. College basketball as a whole has been awesome. It is the best sport on the planet. And this weekend shows why. If you're a football fan who's waiting on the Super Bowl for another week, tune into college basketball this weekend. Beginning tomorrow night with Indiana-Purdue. Great rivalry game, no matter how that result goes. It's a rivalry game. You will see college basketball at its best. Then on Saturday, tune in. Kansas at Baylor. Arkansas comes to town to play Kentucky in a highly emotional game. Rupp Arena will be the best Rupp. We've talked a lot about bad Rupp, good Rupp. You're going to see great Rupp on Saturday. Duke, Carolina. So many incredible rivalry games. Stay up late and watch Gonzaga, St. Mary's. This is the best of college basketball. If you're casual, watch this weekend. If nothing else, your passion will be ignited. It is the best this weekend. Will show that with all the rivalry games. So that is kind of my shout out to college basketball and rivalry week as a whole. It's the best, man. It's the best. Also, I will be at the Royal Rumble on Saturday in Indy. I'm hoping it starts at 6. I'm hoping it is done early enough I can get home to check out at least the second half of Kentucky, Arkansas at my house instead of watching it on a phone. But nonetheless, I'm checking something off my bucket list. I will be at the Royal Rumble, my favorite wrestling pay-per-view. As a kid, we got that more times than any other wrestling show. Taking my nephew, I'm really excited about that. But we will catch you guys Sunday. Coach, the whole gang will be back. We've got a lot to talk about and cover. Does Cal get his victory at Rupp, or does Kentucky get their needed kind of win over Cal and be like, see, motherfucker? Carolina, Indiana, Purdue, so much to talk about. We went extra long today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, leave us a like. Drop the subscribe button. It's free to do. We appreciate the hell of you. For all of us here, we appreciate you guys, and we will catch you Sunday. Until then, we will catch you guys down the road. Peace.